Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Crown Perth. It's always an extreme pleasure to look out into a room full to the brim of the Fremantle family. It's an uplifting experience. To our men's players and coaches, our staff, partners, stakeholders, and most importantly, our members of the Purple Army here this morning, thanks for being with us. Season launches are a rare moment of clear air in footy, a chance to pause before we strap in and jump back behind the wheel. For supporters, it's when the excitement, hope, and belief starts to feel real again. For our program, it's when the work that's been done quietly over summer gets put on full display. For our players, it's the moment they look each other in the eye and say, "We're on here, let's go." Our list evolves, and so do the standards required to thrive in the ruthless environment that is the AFL. Whilst we know we've come a long way as a group, we're far from satisfied. And that brings me to a story that gives some insight into how we've been thinking about 2026. For most of the 20th century, British cycling were an afterthought on the international stage. They were talented, they were committed, they had ambition, but without the sustained success to match it. No real clear identity, no consistent edge against the best. And then in 1998, they appointed a coach, Dave Brailsford, who brought in one simple philosophy: marginal gains. It's not a slogan, wasn't a bold declaration, it was a method. He challenged the entire program to find 1% improvements everywhere, not just in training and tactics, but in everything. Nutrition, recovery, equipment, sleep, travel, preparation, review. What they did at all times, not just at training. Each change on its own looked too small to matter, but stacked together, repeated relentlessly, those 1% gains became the difference. And for a while, the public didn't see medals, they didn't see the shift, but inside the program, the foundations were being laid. And then in 2004, it clicked into gear, pardon the pun. British cycling went from an afterthought to the benchmark. By the mid-2010s, they became the most successful cycling program in the world. 178 World Championships, 66 Olympic golds, 5 Tour de France titles. Not by stating they wanted to win gold, but because they committed to the work that made winning more likely, again and again, over and over. That's what Brailsford called the aggregation of marginal gains. It's not about lowering ambition, it's about lifting standards across the board. It's understanding that the biggest outcomes are built from the smallest commitments, repeated every day. This approach can only be an effective method if the foundations are in place. You can't have a focus on the small gains when you have a big bunch of rocks to move. And that's why this is the right approach for us now. The foundational work has been done. We're ready to make the small things the big difference. And that mindset has been front of mind as we launch our 2026 season. Because big goals matter, but they're not enough. Everyone has goals, everyone wants premierships, they want growth, they want a strong culture, but wanting it doesn't make it happen. What makes it happen is a process, a clear method, a commitment to detail, and a refusal to accept that near enough is good enough. And with that in mind, I want to acknowledge our coaches, our players, our staff, the entire football department for the environment they've driven through this pre-season. An environment built around standards, growth, and accountability. What we've seen this summer is a group determined to lift in the margins, not just to train harder, but to train smarter, not just to be fit, but to be stronger in the gym and in the mind. You'll hear about the obvious work like the running volumes, the contested drills, the repeat efforts, the sessions in the heat, the early starts. That's real and it all matters. But what excites me the most is the less obvious work, the 1% work. It's the extra early touch sessions our players have been committed to, sharpening their craft and building connections as a group. It's the edge in our high performance program, raising the bar in the gym and how to lift more efficiently, how to land more effectively, and how we build resilience so our strength in the contest and our availability becomes a weapon. It's the recovery routines, the ice bath crew getting in before main training because they understand September 6 success is built all year round. It's the standards in the meetings, how we prepare, how we listen, how we challenge each other. It's how our leaders set the tone. It's how that same standard is carried through the group from our captain, Alex Pearce, to first-year players like Adam Swade, because that's what premiership standards look like. Premiership standards are the discipline to win the day you're in. They're the courage to address the small problems before they become big ones. And they're the consistency to do the basics brilliantly and then do them again tomorrow. Now, folks, we're all friends in the room here, so it's important we're frank. Hope in sport can be powerful, but it can't be naive. This competition is relentless. There's no guarantees. There's 17 other clubs waking up every day believing this could be their year. And nobody gets rewards for talking. The rewards come from the doing. But here's what we believe. The clubs that put themselves in a position to contend year after year are the clubs that win in the margins year after year. And there's a statistic from our history that should sit uncomfortably with us. Over our 31 years in the men's competition, there's only been one occasion where we've played finals in consecutive years. That reality should challenge us because that's why we're here. The decisions we've made and the work we've done over the past 5 years has been about building a period where playing finals isn't an outlier, it's the baseline. Where standards are daily and consistency is normal. And it's not just on field. Across the whole club, we've taken the same marginal gains approach. How do we become 1% better in how we prepare our teams, support our people, serve our members and strengthen our future? It's in high performance, it's in analysis, it's in how we use data and technology to make faster, smarter decisions. It's how we connect with our community so the next generation doesn't just attend games, they belong here. It's in our matchday experience, so being a Fremantle member doesn't feel like a transaction, it feels like an identity. Because successful clubs are strong everywhere. They're clear everywhere, they're demanding everywhere, and they don't compartmentalise excellence. And when you commit to 1% improvements, you remove excuses, you remove waiting, you remove the belief that change requires a silver bullet or a miracle. You replace it with something far more powerful, ownership. While the outside asks, have you arrived yet? Inside the club, we want to keep asking, what can we do better today? And when an entire club, from its board, its coaches, its players, its staff, its members, ask that question, you build momentum. You build belief that's earned, not borrowed. So as we launch this AFL season, I want to invite everyone into the ideal that will guide us in 2026. Take pride in the 1%. Notice it, talk about it, hold us to it. When you see Andy Brayshaw bust his gut to get from one contest to the next, that's 1%. When you see Switter deliver repeat pressure acts late in a quarter, it's 1%. When you see our skipper, Big Moose, take ownership of a moment and drag the group forward, that's 1%. And when you see our players in a pre-season game in Mandurah repeatedly and consistently picking each other up, that's 1%. And behind every one of those moments is 100 quiet choices at training, in review, in preparation, in life, and in standards. And that's the promise of marginal gains. You don't wait for confidence, you build it. We know what you ultimately want, what we all want. We want to be playing our best footy at the pointy end of the year. We want to contend and we want to win, and we want sustained success. We want a season this year defined by courage, connection, and relentless standards. We want the Purple Army to keep growing, and we want the entire Freo family to be proud. These are worthy outcomes, and they're why we exist. But we honour these outcomes through the daily work that earns them. So as we begin 2026, let's commit again to being 1% better in how we train, how we prepare, how we support, and how we compete and how we connect. Because when you stack 1% improvements day after day, week after week, month after month, over the course of the season, something powerful happens. Daily habits become standards. Standards drive identity, momentum, and belief, which can deliver remarkable results. And that's what we're aiming to deliver in 2026. Thank you all for being here this morning, and thank you for believing in what we're building.